What is up, maniacs? Welcome back to Sound and Pound. We are your hosts, Drake Riggs and Alex Behunin, here on another Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, here to bring you all the crazy wackiness in the world of mixed martial arts, as there's always something going on. We are getting ready for UFC 297, so that'll take a lot of the focus this week, of course, but we did have the kickoff with UFC Vegas 84 this past Saturday, which wasn't too bad either, Alex. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. We'll talk a little bit about that. But man, how are you just doing overall? We were just chatting about playoff football and all that good stuff. But are you staying warm? What is the temperature in Vegas? Because I think I've hit all-time lows for my life over here in Washington. It was like 15 degrees last night.
It's like
very
it's like
cold.
47 right now.
Vegas
bro,
cold.
Yeah, Vegas cold. But it has been pretty fucking cold over here in Vegas. And so, yeah, it's been cold. The Steelers lost yesterday, got embarrassed yesterday. So that's kind of cold on my heart. But my heart is heating up because it is Sean Strickland fight week.
Yes, it is, and I absolutely cannot wait for that fight, the fight card. My goodness, yeah, there's a lot to talk about this week, and I think the card. I mean, we'll look at it a little bit more in depth here, but I think getting a little bit too much hate. I know pay-per-views, everyone's very picky these days and all that. But before we get to UFC stuff, let's just kick off the card with the news of the day, and you guys, we will be going down our normal kind of agenda and lineup with all our good old fun segments. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Drop your questions for the end of the show Q&A, or if it's timely with a segment, we will reflect on it, talk about it there as well. As Octagon Updates is here. What is up, sir? And he says feels like negative 27 where he is in Wisconsin, which that is no fun. I'm sure it is nice and brisk. Don't go outside. But anyway, Alex, the news of the day was PFL has finally announced their first event of 2024, which of course was expected to be the Bellator Showcase of sorts, putting the champs against each other. And kind of to my surprise, we got a little bit more matchups of non-champs versus non-champs and some pretty damn good ones. We didn't get all six title fights, which is kind of interesting. Maybe some political reasons there behind some of that stuff. I don't know, but let's take a look at it here. Got it on the screen for us now, as we can see. Here, let me zoom in a bit for you guys and we will scroll down. But we have, for the title fights, we do have the heavyweights. So Hannah Ferreira versus Ryan Bader.
That better not be the main event. That better not be the main event.
Currently listed as the main event. Impa Kasanganay versus Johnny Eblen in a middleweight title fight. I can see there, champ versus champ, but Impa won at light heavyweight this past season. Welterweights, Magomed Karamov, Jason Jackson. Featherweight, Patricio Pitbull, Jesus Pineda. And then we got these non-title ones here. Bruno Capoloza versus Vadim Nemkov. Kind of the wild card surprise for me, because Nemkov, of course, Bellator light heavyweight champ, was teasing heavyweight kind of after his last fight anyway. So I'm assuming that's why we didn't get the Impa fight. That was kind of, as I was reading all this, I was like, oh, what's the deal here? Thiago Santos versus Yoel Romero, likely going to be the most boring fight of all time, unfortunately, as Alex tweeted out. And that was my first thought as well. It's like, goddamn, that fight has name value, but that is literally all it has. Clay Collard versus AJ McKee is, oh my God, maybe the best fight on this lineup. It is gonna be beautiful violence. Gabriel Braga versus Aaron Pico. That one kind of caught me off guard too. A little bit of a sleeper fight there. That's going to be very fun. Biagio finally going pro, Alex. That's big news as well, against Chris Morris, who never heard of, but that's okay. At least it's a pro bout. Clarissa Shields is back as well, which is interesting, against Kelly DeSantis, who that's supposed to be a layup for her. And then we got some other opening fights here, which again, as for the guys we don't know about, but they're there. So, Alex, let's get the first impressions. Let's start it this way, as we like to do our grades and our ratings for our movies and matchups and things alike here. Let's just go overall card. Where do you place it out of 10? Did they let's say, where did we do the ranking, and then does this meet or overdo your expectations and kind of all that?
And It's close to a 10 out of 10. Like I'd say it's a 9 out of 10. The only thing that's keeping it from a 10 out of 10 is no Larissa Pacheco. Like that's the one thing that's missing out like in it. Um, and it sucks because like Clarissa Shields is on the card, but there's no Larissa Pacheco. So
Right.
where is she? Where is Larissa? Where's Larissa Pacheco? Was there no one to fight her? Did they want to save her? I mean, well, what's up with that?
Yeah.
So like that's the only thing that's actually keeping it 10 out of 10. But I mean, it is a stacked card. It's by far the best PFL card they've ever put on.
Yep.
Um, and just like the matchups are very interesting. Like Impa versus Johnny, like I understand like why they did it, but I
Right.
mean, I feel like they
I think
could
that
have
all
done like
hinged on
Impa.
Nemkov, really.
Yeah, 1000%. So like if they would have went Impa versus Imkov, then there was no one for Johnny to fight, right? So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But man, some very very fun matchups.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. I think this, yeah, it's still, even though I am upset and disappointed with not having, the full lineup of title fight potential, and Larissa Pacheco is a very glaring omission. I still think it exceeded expectations with really Bruno and Nemkov, and then Collar and McKee specifically. I really don't give a fuck about Romero Santos because you
It's gonna
know
be so bad. It's gonna
at
be so
best,
bad.
we'll get one of those, vintage late Yoel knockouts that he used to do in his prime, right? Like, I love when you cooked that guy in the response on your Twitter when he's like, he said something, and you're like, yeah, maybe for 13 minutes.
Yeah,
For
fucking.
13 minutes.
Have you not watched a Yoel Romero fight the last 3, 4, 5 years? Like, come on.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, very exciting, very fun card. And yeah, the thing with Larissa Pacheco is like, okay, well, Cyborg actually kind of screwed this up by having this boxing match coming up. Really, if we're gonna be completely honest, the account, her account, and all that can point the finger at Kayla and all these things. When, from what I've heard, my internal sources on the PFL side have said they didn't deny it, but they said that this was always the plan. They do champs versus champs. So take that for what it is, and just other things I've heard. I mean, Kayla is still in the middle of free agency and figuring out her contract. So in terms of her and what's going to happen there, shouldn't even really be. People shouldn't even have thought about that. But if you couldn't do the Cyborg fight, I think the Liam McCourt one is clearly the next best thing. Why not do that? Just not having Pacheco on here is like, well, you're going to get at least some kind of good action out of that. But yeah, I like the card, definitely. Looks great. In terms of fight I'm most excited for, I still think, I hate to say it's not one of the title fights, but really that Collar McKee one, is that easily the best one, Alex?
I mean,
In terms of like
I
delivering, I think it's the safest bet for sure.
yeah, I mean, it's by far like the most fun matchup on there. Like, it's going to be the most action packed. Braga versus Pico is kind of a sneaky, very fun fight
Yeah.
too. Um, and then Pinedo versus Pitbull is actually a very it's gonna be good. And then Impa versus Eblin. I mean, like Impa is really shown, man. He's really
Hmm.
really improved, especially going up in division. And Eblin's man, there's an argument he's the best middleweight on
Yeah.
planet Earth right now. So I just Henna Ferreira versus Ryan. It's co-indent. Come on, just move it down one. Move it down one. Do Impa versus Johnny Eblin main event. It's just come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's purely a division thing at the moment, clearly. Um, yeah, I think Magomed Karamov and Jackson, that'll be very fun as well. Bruno and Nemkov has that edge of your seat, like, oh, wait for it kind of feel to it, because honestly, Nemkov can win that fight very easily if he just decides to wrestle him. Like, that's kind of the big thing. Not that Bruno has bad grappling, but I think there's a good enough difference there to where it could be
And
pretty
both
one
Bruno
sided.
and Vadim lost to Yuri
This is true. This is
in
true.
Ryzen, right? In
Yep.
Ryzen.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So, man, and both insane fights. So good times. Go check those out if you haven't, you guys. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a win of a start to this. Like,
Yeah.
under the circumstances, probably best card they could have put together. Because again, I think the blame is very firmly on Cyborg in terms of not having her here because of the fact she took the boxing fight, and I get why she's trying to do that and all, but hey, how is that not your fault? You did that. You got out of this here. Don't be pointing the fingers, I would say.
The other question is it's obviously a pay-per-view, so is this worth $70?
Have they said that's the price?
I mean, it's more than likely that. I mean, all right, fine. Say like,
70?
see, it's like what? It's been $40 the last one.
I
Like
think
last
the last one was 50, and obviously
50.
we haven't been
So
paying for these.
yeah. So is this worth $50?
um. Okay, so it would only be obviously the main card. Man, it's like I'm as purist as it gets, and I'm like real on the fence here. I think what would push me over to convincingly say yes was if we had like that Pacheco extra title fight or what have you. But it's like 50-50 for me. I it would
For
it's
a
like it
casual
would
fan too, right? Like for a casual fan.
yeah, and shout out to Jed Mishu over at MMA Fighting. I saw him bring up a good point about how what this will be going head to head with UFC Mexico City, right?
Good
Um,
stuff, yeah.
which is a free one and not like super low in terms of name value, but enough there for casuals. And then just Mexico by itself that kind of draws in attention, and that will bring the energy and excitement out of those fights anyway. So that makes it hard when you put in that factor. But in a vacuum, this right here, I'd probably fall and lean over to if I'm not doing anything, nothing's going on, chilling. Oh, this is a sick ass fight card. Sure, I'll shell it out. I would, but circumstantially throw them in there. It's tough. That's tougher. It's close, but it's a casual battle though, right, Alex? Like, and that's when I think having as many champions as possible helps you out. So of course, still getting Nemkov involved here, that is a big win. And then guys like AJ McKee and whatnot. But I just feel like if you had one more edition of multiple champions or something, like fucking not having Cyborg or Pacheco, that hurts a decent bit when you really kind of look at it in that lens, right?
Yeah. No, 1000%. 1000%. It's I mean, both fighters are entertaining, right? And that's what, as fight fans, you want to watch entertaining fights, you want to watch finishes, and those two ladies bring it every single time. So not having them on the biggest card that PFL and Bellator could put together is just a swing and a miss.
Yeah. And was that Belle does not sound very pleased.
I think she's like seeing something and she's like growling. I don't know what the fuck.
Well, we love our guest appearances on the show, so she is welcome. But okay, before we move on to our regularly scheduled programming, Crombie is here. Shout out to Crombopolis. Good to see you, my friend. He says, when will Francis fight in the PFL? So this is a good question to tackle because obviously, man, take this card, Alex. I mean, obviously you could throw him in to that main event against either of those guys. That would have been fine. Or you could add him against someone else. Well, then we're not even asking about if you're buying it, like, of course, that would have been massive for them. But again, boxing is fucking up MMA. It's getting in the way with Cyborg, with Ngannou. I mean, great for them, Obviously, Ngannou's making bank, doing his thing, loving life right now. Hopefully, Cyborg's getting paid well, but I don't know about that necessarily. Doing her own thing too, but. When will he fight in the PFL? He is still adamant he will. Alex.
Probably never. Probably never. Let's just be honest. Like, probably never. There's not a fight in the PFL that's worth him to
and
fight.
They have admitted that.
Yeah, it's probably never. He's probably after this fight, he's probably gonna fight Wilder in boxing, right? Like, it's just, why go back to MMA when you're making $20 million a box? Like, it makes no fucking sense.
I mean, that's the thing too, is like, let's say he goes and beats Joshua, which is certainly possible, obviously. That just further keeps him away from it. you need him to lose badly, which is kind of crazy to say, but that's the best case to get him back to MMA because why would he? Why would he go back if he succeeds in this brand new thing and all? So it's a pretty crazy development, but great for him. Like that's the whole thing is he's just been racking up all the wins he possibly could, even despite technically losing against Fury. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for that to happen anymore. So yeah, but I agree with Krombopoulos completely. He says he thought his fights with Gon and Stipe really showed growth in MMA. I'd love to see him in the cage again instead of boxing. Totally, man. Like Dana said it himself, Alex. You remember? I would be afraid if I was John Jones to fight the guy who just beat Stipe. He looked as about as good. That was as great of a heavyweight performance as we've seen in the last 5 years or so. He looked. People forget how incredible he looked against Stipe, and then looked incredible against Gon, considering that he was not 100%, significantly hampered, and then just utilizing his wrestling. Like I think Krombopoulos kind of nailed this right here. So it sucks, in terms of a fan standpoint and wanting to see MMA fight, great MMA fighters in MMA. That's the big part, but it is what it is. Let the man live. You got to still be happy for him. So, who knows? Maybe he'll come back when he's 45. That's just for fun.
I mean, that's 1000%. But yeah, we'll see.
Right. Well, let's stick with let's go back to the UFC talk now, or at least potentially, right, and get into our maniacal moment of the week. Alex, we're back in the Apex. I'm sure everyone was surprised to see you without a beard. Probably a good fun time as we got a lot of notable kind of points from this card, and we were talking about some things lower on deck in the lead up, but what would you say, man? What was your maniacal moment of the week? Biggest story or fight moment? What was the highlight for you?
I mean, being there live for Simone versus Batista was like one for me. But I mean, it's got to be an Ankalaev. Finally, like not having bad luck, not putting on a boring fight. But the last time he was in the Apex was a fucking stinker. Like he went out there and knocked Johnny Walker out, made Johnny Walker do a meme. Like it was like a meme knockout again.
That's all he can do.
And then 1000%. He just falls back like, whoa, whoop, 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 whoop. Like
Three Stooges or something.
Yeah, 1000%. And then he got on. Then he did everything right. He got on the mic, called out Alex Pereira. And I asked him if he's willing to headline 300. He said, "Fuck yeah, I'm calling. I'm waiting for the call." Like he called his shot after knocking out Johnny Walker. It was a nice knockout, one that like he desperately fucking needed. Even though he's on a 10-fight win streak and he's looked dominant. He needed that so bad, and he went out there and did it. So that's my moment.
Yeah, hard to go against, obviously, Magomed Ankalaev. He absolutely crushed it this week. And I think, like, the biggest thing, I'm just going to, echo exactly what you said there, but then throw in, like, Alex, this was one of our questions we talked about last week and just kind of about this fight. You asked me specifically, will he wrestle, though? Nope. Nope. Decided not to. I was completely wrong in that assessment, and it paid off, which for me was the most impressive thing about the performance, because I actually thought that he like slightly lost the first round. Like it was pretty close, but I think Johnny just kind of edged it. But he stuck to it and, knocked him out, as isn't surprising. But the fact that he didn't even really threaten at all with grappling, I mean, the guy can do it all. That's why he's going to be champ at the end of the year. So I'm sticking to my guns on that one. I really hope, I would love to see it if he does get to turn around and go on 300. I feel like they wouldn't obviously want him just in terms of his not quite that big star yet, but against Pereira, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Card could use it. What Alex said, he wants to fight Jamal first still, and then make a super quick turnaround or whatever.
Yeah. And like the whole problem with this too is the UFC is going to Rio at the next month, UFC 301, and if they really like, of course, Pantoja could headline that, but like if you're going to Rio, going to Brazil, you're going to bring Alex Pereira with you, which makes sense. But I mean, I would like Alex. I mean, it's tough. Like if Alex headlines UFC 300, like obviously he's a huge star with the hardcore fans. The hardcore fan, we all love him, but like, will a casual fan like look at that and be like, oh yeah, like fuck yeah, you know?
I think it's easier with him because of really his ascent and kind of story in the UFC. The fact that he is a big, scary striker, having
Right.
the Adesanya rivalry and kind of highlighting that he knocked him out to become champ the first time. I think it's a better person to have there than let's say
Leon Bilal.
yeah. Sure, let's go with that. Yeah, I was gonna say Sterling when he was champ, but good examples for sure. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see kind of what direction specifically they want to go with Pereira, right? Because there are many different avenues. The speculation I've been seeing is like waiting for this week, see what happens there for the middleweight side of things, unrelated to Pereira, but wait for what happens this week to then somehow get Adesanya involved with either of those guys. If it doesn't work out there and they can't turn around, Adesanya versus Pereira at light heavyweight, like there's all this kind of mapping out people are trying to do about the two divisions specifically, which is very fascinating. I think they're all very possible, actually. So yeah, it's crazy times and it's beginning to 2024 and only gonna get crazier. But all right, Alex, I won't take exactly your moment there because, of course, Magomed, I think that was kind of the easy one to choose from there. And I do want to highlight, you said Mario Batista and Ricky Simone. Breaks my heart that the hometown boy, Ricky, loses another one back to back. But just insanely impressive performance from Mario Batista, who literally lived up to his name there with the Mario jumping the leg kick in what the first round, which has been highlights through Twitter since then. But my God, I think the most impressive thing to me was the guy's volume just kind of like increased as the fight went on, Alex. Like that third round, he outstruck Ricky by I don't even know exactly how much. I want to say it was at least 50, strikes. It was insane how much he poured it on, and Ricky kind of seemed to fade and kind of, crumple under that, which again, bummer for me to see, but you got to give credit to where it's due. And Mario Batista is a legitimate top 15 UFC bantamweight now, and I'm how goddamn much better can the division get, dude? like, what do we do with him? Matchmaking for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because usually Ricky Simone's the one that breaks fires by the third round, right?
Yeah,
The role was reversed, and Mario Batista broke him
insane.
in that third round and just out volumed him. Matchmaking wise, it's I mean, it's probably I mean,
Can't go wrong, really, matchup wise in terms of the fights themselves, but what makes them
he
most
called for
exciting?
Rob Font, and I really like that fight.
Yeah,
Especially it gives him a chance to get in the top 10. Rob just lost to Figgy, gives him a chance to defend his ranking. There's that fight. If you really want like Umar, maybe. I think Jonathan Martinez deserves someone just like Mario above him. Um, and then other than that, it'd be fighting somebody outside of the division. So
yeah.
I'm gonna say Rob Font.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. I would keep kind of Umar and him on the same trajectories away from each other if possible. Obviously, kind of still waiting to see what happens with Umar, who says everyone's declining him, as that's just very well could be true. But man, Bantamweight's just so good, and yeah, got to give some love to Mario. There was excellent, but. Okay, Alex, before we move on from maniacal moment of the week, I wanted to highlight a story as well of the week from yesterday, actually. Uh, Going back to Saudi Arabia talks, we just did with PFL, but reportedly, shout out to Ariel Helwani who has reported this, but the UFC Saudi Arabia being pushed back because the Saudis are unimpressed with the week card. They're
Saudi
not
Arabia
happy
said,
with it.
"Fuck your fucking UFC card. Give us a title fight, you
Your
fucking
Apex shit.
cheap motherfuckers." Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
So
Keep your shitty card and fucking give us a real card.
oh man, from March to June now is the reported speculation, and it's So the main thing that stuck out to me, and I tweeted about this, but it's just insane the amount of power that this country has over the sport right now. That's the big thing, and I feel like that's I don't know if it's a good or bad thing yet. I guess we'll see, but I think it is good for backlash against not great cards because really it's shaping up to be just an Apex type card over there. What it looks like 8 fights right now, I think, and like the best one is Muhammad Mokaev's fight, maybe, at least especially in terms of name value. Only 3 ranked fighters. I was looking at this yesterday. So really, compared to what they want and like these days, supremely lackluster. I get, if you have been paying attention to them, this makes sense. It's not surprising. Should more places do it? I mean, I wouldn't hate that, but it's a weird dynamic that this will build. But pushing UFC to do better, that's okay with me. So what's your reaction to this?
I mean, it's just a lot of countries don't have the power and
That's
backing
the
like
thing.
Saudi does. Like
Yes.
if Toronto said, "Fuck this card, we don't want Sean Strickland as our headliner. We want a Canadian to headline this fucking card."
Right.
The UFC would be like, "Well, sorry, you either get this or we're going somewhere else." Like I think like the UFC could probably say to Saudi like, well, too bad you're not getting a good card. We'll go to Abu Dhabi instead. Fuck your blood money, like
Yeah.
it's something like. But I think they want a relationship with Saudi, so I think that's why they're kind of like, all right, like we'll push it back. So it's just like it's UFC can do whatever the fuck they want at this point. It's
Right.
it is interesting that like Saudi put their foot down and was like, like give us something good. Which is interesting because it's in June. And that's International Fight Week. So maybe they do 2 pay-per-views in June, like they did 2 pay-per-views in July,
Right.
Which would make sense, like put Islam to headline Saudi.
I mean, that makes all the sense, obviously,
Yeah.
in the
And
world.
see, July, August, September, October. So then it gives them 4 months to turn around for October for Abu Dhabi in October. So I mean,
Perfect.
it makes a lot of sense. And then just like like combat as a whole is like Saudi having so much power over combat sports right now. I think they're gonna do it for like another year and a half, 2 years, and then
Bail.
bail and like focus on golf. Because
Yeah, that's true. They kind of have to.
like yeah, like it's just like the much like I bet they're paying PFL a pretty penny for this card, which is gonna do 10,000 buys,
They'll be upset by it,
if
and
that. Yeah,
then
1,000%, and they're paying all these, like, boxers. It just it's not a fun fight atmosphere. Like, they put on a good show, right? Like,
mhm,
they're doing it, but, like,
right.
the audience, like, it's not fun, and, like, for PFL, this is what, like, my argument, like, PFL is putting on their biggest card of all time
Mhm,
in Saudi Arabia, where, like, none of their fans are gonna be there to watch the biggest card.
right.
So,
Yeah, it feels definitely like kind of short-term thinking
yeah,
and, business, short-term business for sure. So
yeah. But
it
then again, like, who knows, like, sorry to cut you off, but, like,
no.
they have an unlimited amount of money, right? So they could just throw money away until they literally were like, "All right, like, we're bored with this. Let's go buy a basketball team," you know?
Yeah, exactly. Let's just go buy
Let
the sport, actually.
yeah,
We'll buy that one
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. Let's go create a NFL rival, like
Yes, yeah. We'll turn this UFL shit into something important.
yeah,
Dude, it was so
right.
just to sidetrack real quick, it was hilarious seeing commercials for that during playoffs. Like, fucking smart to do it during the off season, but no one's watching that shit. Watch all
Vegas,
the second, third stringers who aren't on teams anymore.
yeah, Vegas lost our XFL team, so
Darn.
pain.
Oh, incredible. All right. From that, we will move on from the maniacal moment to the underrated moment of the week. Some good ones here, and I have a hunch that we might go with the same one here, Alex. But what do we want? What do we want to spotlight that was a little underappreciated, overlooked from the past
Uh,
week?
Actually, I don't think you're gonna. I'm going Nicholas Mata beating
That was
Tom
mine.
Nolan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, man. It's I It's interesting because I see Nicholas at Extreme Couture every time I go in there every Tuesday and Thursday, and he's one of these guys who's super good in the gym, man. Like he's
Right.
really, really good. All of his teammates choose to spar him because he brings it, and so like for his first 4 fights in the UFC, he's been like this gym warrior where he's really good in the
Mhm.
gym, but just does not show up in the octagon unless it's Cameron Van Camp. And so, Tom Nolan, I'm pretty sure the UFC were setting up Nicholas to get fucking knocked out in the first round
Yeah.
to build this new Australian. And Nicholas said, fuck that. I'm that ain't gonna make a highlight off of me. I was already a highlight last year, so um, yeah, it was a great moment. He needed that win so bad, and just like, and then his post fight speech afterwards, it was just like it was really heartwarming for that because I know how bad he like likes being a UFC fighter, and like
Right.
if he would have got knocked out, he would have been out, and just to see how hard he trains and like how well he like knows the sport and like how it was a nice moment to see that happen.
Yeah. No, again, like the guy, it's been a rough stretch, and then for him to go out there and kind of fend off somebody like Tom Nolan who had all this hype, and we're getting asked about him. Kind of, it was becoming weekly. We were getting some Tom Nolan comments, which is great and
Yeah.
all. But um, do you think that is it much of a setback for Nolan? Has he been fraud checked with that one, or is it just like you get caught 63 seconds?
I don't think it was a fraud check because it was like a flash knock. It was like a flash knockout, and he was so aggressive. Like he went in there
Yeah,
looking to knock this dude
ready
out
to die.
with him. Yeah, 1,000%. It's do or die. Um, and we've seen it so many times. The Contender Series guys, their first fight in the UFC, a lot of them lose. Like they go in, they fought a lot of cans on the regional scene. Then he fights somebody who has experience, who's been in the UFC for four fights. I wouldn't say Nicholas was composed because he was in there throwing right, right,
Yeah,
right, right with him. But it's just another example of like it's hard to bet on Contender Series guys in their UFC debut. Because you never know like what's going to happen. And Octagon Tom Nolan's chin was right up in the air, and he got chin checked. So
freaking asking for it. Sometimes you need that though. He might come back even better, even stronger. We will see. Octagon update says he was so cocky, chin right up
he
in the
was
air.
he,
Yeah.
he was he was he was very cocky, and Nicholas like pointed that out. Like he like went after Nicholas on his social media pretty bad. Like had like a bunch of
Mm.
Australians go after him. Like
Oh, that's no fun.
he was yeah. So you know
Well, you get what you get then, partner. Sorry, Tommy.
yeah yeah.
But yes, that was definitely big highlight there. And I mean, I guess actually just to throw in a quick mention real quick, but I mean, Farid Basharat continues to just be supremely well-rounded. What did I say it was? It was kind of like his relentless versatility. That's what it is. Like the combination of the way he continues to be attacking and aggressive in every way. It's just very very impressive, very fascinating to watch. And against a guy in Taylor Lapillus, who obviously not the best, but I was very impressed with his return to the UFC, and he's still
He
quite good.
outstruck
But
the striker. Like that's like fair. Like that. That's
yeah,
very impressive.
I mean, he just mixed it up beautifully in that fight. It was just perfect approach to it. Excellent stuff. And I mean, both of those guys are doing great, and I know you're high on them as well. So I'm very curious to see, what is next for Ridden. Again, this bantamweight division can nothing go wrong. it's very good. So yes, shouts to them. But all right, from the underrated moment, we will move on to the week ahead now, and it is time for the Mania mainline. Alex, let's talk about what we are most looking forward to this week, and then, of course, make our predictions for the title tilts. What exactly is wetting the whistle for you this week? What are you most excited for personally? What is Alex Behunen's favorites of the week?
Charles Jourdain for Sean Woodson. That is
Okay,
that is a
okay.
man, that is a banger. It's just a very fun fight, and Charles is finally fighting in Canada, first time fighting in Canada in the UFC. He's fighting
That's
a guy,
crazy,
Sean.
actually.
Yeah, right. Finding a guy, Sean Woodson, who's you can make an argument he's the best boxer, like pure boxer in the UFC. And yeah, these guys are gonna slang and bang, and it's gonna be a fun fight. Probably gonna be fight of the night. Yeah, that's it, bro. That fight's gonna be ridiculous. Although I do gotta throw, and this might be yours, but Arnold Allen versus Mozart Evil. Man, that is a high quality featherweight fight. Man, mm,
Yes, it is very good. Can you hear me still? Because my screen has
yeah,
frozen.
yeah. I
Okay,
can hear you.
well, I guess let me hope that this comes back and hopefully I don't shut up or anything. But screen is frozen. But I agree. I'll keep going for the moment. Allen versus Evloev. Like that is mine that I was choosing for sure. And a fight that very easily could be a main event on a fight night, like that. I'm kind of surprised that I mean, I guess timing and all that stuff. It easily could have been Evloev, obviously on the come up. Allen looking to rebound off of his last one. Um, Good stuff. So this is still stuck. It's becoming a problem here. I don't
Your
know what to do.
your frozen face is very funny, but
Oh,
oh my god,
great. What is going on here? How about it? You can
god,
still hear me though.
yeah, that goddamn Portland Wi-Fi, bro.
I know what the hell. Okay, I'm gonna pop in on my phone real quick and restart this because I've never had this happen. 1 second, I can pull it up. Um, but yes, Arnold Allen and Evloev. That is definitely gonna be an absolute banger. A great way to open up the main card. And I did want to mention, I think Jillian Robertson versus your girl
Fun fight,
Polyana
very,
Viana.
very, very, very fun fight.
That
Especially
will
like if it's grappling, it's gonna be very fun.
Yes. And can you actually send me? Can you send me an invite link on Slack real quick?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? I don't think it's the internet. It's my computer. Okay. Here, we'll switch real quick. Give me one moment, everybody.
Solo dolo. Move to the ape. Saudi card move to the apex. Oof, man. Um, I mean, it obviously makes sense. I feel like they could easily find. I mean, depends on what the main event is, but they could like easily find a spot for that card. It's going to cost them quite a bit of money to send all the foreign fighters to the apex. So their air mileage bill is going to be crazy. But yeah, that makes sense. All the fucking China card move the apex, the Korea card move the apex. Yeah. So that's like eight apex shows within like the first quarter of the year, which is wild because I was told there was only going to be I think like 6 to 8 apex shows all year. So I guess they went back on that. And like apex, it's tough because like personally, obviously I live in Las Vegas. It's a 10-minute drive, so work wise, it's easier for me. But I just think apex. Um, it's fun, but I think it's run its course. I obviously I think they should probably do maybe keep the Apex for one event a month to kind of highlight prelim fighters, highlight fighters that they don't want to put on cards with crowds. But like that's just it sucks because like fighting fighters need a crowd. Like that's what I mean. All sports do. All sports do. And fighters not fighting in front of crowds. It's just like it sucks the air out of it, and I understand that. But what's up, bro?
Hey.
I was just talking about so they're moving the Saudi card to the Apex.
Okay, all right. Octagon updates here with the update.
Yeah. And I was just saying, like, obviously, it's happened the China card, happened the Korea card. Makes sense why they would do it, but I feel like, they could have found somewhere to put that card.
I mean, yeah, it's not even done yet. It's only got 8 fights.
Yeah. But and which is crazy because so I think that's eight or nine Apex cards the first quarter of the year, which is wild because I was told there was only going to be six Apex cards the entire year,
Oh,
and they were going to be
wow.
out on the road. So obviously they were like, yeah, nah, let's just keep doing that, saving money.
Yeah, okay, that is definitely interesting then, but yeah, makes sense, I guess, from that perspective. They will do their thing, but okay. All right, let's get back. Sorry, guys, about my issues. I think it was because I was on silent mode and not performance. So trying to lower my fan. Hopefully you can't hear it too much. All right. Anyway, the Mania mainline, yes, we hit our targets there, I think. But let's just get into the big boys now, Alex. Make our predictions previewing the main event. Sean Strickland defending his middleweight title against Strickland Du Plessis. Absolutely cannot wait for this one. Days away now. What's the feel, man? How you think it's gonna shake out? Are we gonna hear and new bringing the belt back to Africa?
Yeah, it's so tough because I think I've said it on this show, or maybe I said it to you in person, but I've picked against Dricus every single fight, other than his UFC debut. And he's proved me wrong every single time. And he just keeps getting better, keeps upsetting people. And it's tough. Like it, you know, it's going to be interesting. Like Sean and Dragons are going to go, they're going to meet head to head. They're going to go straight for each other. The thing is how is Sean going to fight? How does Sean fight emotional, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we saw that against Izzy. He did not like Izzy, so he fought emotional. And he went out there, had his best performance of all time. And then against Cannoneer, he did not fight emotional and he lost, right? So
Yeah.
like it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how he performs against someone who he does not like. There is bad blood. Um, and Du Plessis, he fights to finish every single time. And he's not there's no bad blood on his side. He's cool as a cucumber. Um so as a prediction, man, it's tough. Obviously there's some bias on my side, so I think I'm gonna go Sean and still. I think I don't think he's gonna finish Dricus. I think it's gonna be a 5 round. Let's say like be a close unanimous decision.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Yeah, this fight is super interesting to me. And I think really what it's going to come down to is what Drakus can't do, right? It will kind of hinge on what Sean stops him from doing because I think despite the emotions and all that stuff involved, Sean Strickland fights the same way every time. It's just a matter of kind of the aggression level or kind of, pressure that he applies to people. Like we saw, he was walking down Izzy the whole time, like you mentioned there. Whereas with Cannonier, he kind of wasn't allowed to do that or didn't feel the need. And in cases like Pereira, he kind of patiently did it and, got fucked up for that. So I think that's kind of the only difference we will see from Strickland. Whereas he has precise power, but not power in just an every kind of shot power. Like obviously when he knocked down Izzy, almost finished him in the first round. but he's not a guy who he'll thump you with every single shot he has. I think Drakus is more of a guy who has that kind of power and is very durable, has new cardio now with his new nose. He's very aggressive as well. We're going to see kind of where they meet, who can dictate that. I think they're probably going to meet in the middle for most of the time. But then also, the grappling is a big thing here. And Alex, I don't know if you saw yesterday, but this video surfaced of DDP beating an entire Gracie Barra team by himself. What, 5 guys in a quintet match a couple of years ago, I believe, in what he submitted all of them. What it says right here: guillotine, one arm guillotine, north south choke, and a Darce choke. Okay, so four people, but goddamn, dude, like, where's this been? Just hiding in his back pocket, waiting to show up and show out. If he decides to utilize that, I think it'd be very smart. I think he definitely should. Of course, Strickland, not the easiest guy to keep down. Gets up very well. Kind of, I think he's very similar to Bisping in terms of his defensive grappling. Like Bisping, one of the best get up abilities in MMA history. I would say like his spring after getting taken down. Like if he gets taken down, he gets up pretty easily, or he's very good at doing that. Not a guy who's often seen on his back. Strickland, I think, is pretty comparable to Bisping in that regard, actually. And there's actually a lot of similarities I think you could draw between them. But Du Plessis, I just think overall has more of the danger and finishing ability in him. And we've kind of seen that. And I think, again, like I said, it will depend on what he can't do. If he can't hold Strickland down, I think that's the big one. if he can't dictate the pace, kind of those are the big ones there. And we haven't seen him want to employ a grappling heavy game plan yet. So is now going to be the time? Not so sure. Should he? Think it'd be a great idea. You want to become champ, do all this? Yeah, go for it. But in the end, I just believe in him kind of being a little bit more dangerous. And plus the fact that I don't think he's going to fade now after, being able to breathe is very helpful. You look at the Whitaker performance as a great one to go off in his last one. Things get the most interesting, obviously, in the last 2 rounds. But I think that by the time the fight gets there, because I do think it'll probably go there, he will have had a 3-round lead. Sean come back in the final 2, matter of if he finishes him. But I think Drakus will get ahead on this one and end up winning it, whether it's a late finish or a decision. That's how I'm feeling. But I'm so excited, man, because there's a lot of little intricacies to this one, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and interesting. And we both had different picks, so I like it.
Yes, and synchro, yeah, get up ability. We used to talk about that on WMA Mania. Remember, sometimes it confuses us when we talk about stand-ups, not striking. Yes, got to be specific talking about it that way, but a great skill to have for some fighters for sure. But okay, Alex, I know you don't want to go too in depth on the co-main event, but we're gonna get predictions on it. I think you already said Mayra Bueno Silva when we did the predictions for the end of the year. So just give me a specific one. Like, how does she win?
Man, well, it's tough because, man, Raquel Pennington's fucking super underrated.
Incredibly,
she's very tough.
Yeah.
Like she's durable. She's very tough. And she makes fights dirty. Like that's the thing. And and then Myra, on the other hand, obviously, like she's dangerous. She goes for the finish every single time. Let's see. I need to bring this up. Has Raquel ever been submitted?
I think Andrade got her in like her second fight.
No, Kat Zingano got her. Kat got her in Invicta.
Right. Since then,
That's
though,
it.
I think. Oh, really? Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Andrade and Ashley Evans Smith. I got them confused there. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she lost.
But that was like what, one of her first so many fights, though.
yeah. That's her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th fight.
Okay.
So she's never been submitted in the UFC.
Hasn't really been close either.
And she's only been knocked. She's only been finished once. That's by Amanda Nunes. Man, so if Mayra Bueno Silva can't finish her, does she beat her on points? That's the question, right?
And we haven't seen Mayra go long either, too. Like Rocky, of course, great
Yeah.
conditioning, and the way one of Rocky's best attributes is her clinch, specifically against the cage. The knees that she lands in tight and all that stuff, which is that's a great spot for Mayweather to potentially get openings, but that will wear on you in 5-round fights. So,
And Myra's 2 losses have come by decision.
mhm.
She had a draw against Montana De La Rosa, but that was at a different weight class. Man, oh, I was so ready to like go Myra by
I know.
submission
I
and
think you just
tap
convinced me
her.
actually that Rocky
I
P is
like,
going to become champ.
dude, I was so convinced that Myra's gonna go in there and just tap her. But man, if she can't finish Raquel Pennington, Raquel can
Yep.
take the decision and new.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Actually, now that we all laid that out, and honestly, like I've really enjoyed this Mayra Bueno Silva run. I think it's hard not to. She's been very fun to watch. Very impressive stuff. With her knee bars and obviously the ninja choke, which I guess that didn't happen now, but whatever. But really, it's a great feel good story if Rocky P does win this. Like I saw the stat earlier, what she'd be only a handful of people to have won a title 10 years after getting in the
She
UFC.
is the third
The
one.
third,
Third one.
dude,
Yeah.
that's insane. And especially after her first attempt, like was a real rough one. Like, man, it's a great story. It makes me feel good just thinking about that. So, um, obviously, I don't know if it will last very long. Division's weird, but if she can get it, I'm not going to be upset. That's very heartwarming. All that she's been through and her journey from what the first Ultimate Fighter with women, like a lot of good history that can be made there. And I'm a lot more intrigued after we broke it down there, right there though, because yeah, she's gonna need to get finished for Mayra to pull this off. So. All right, Rocky P decision. That's my pick. I believe she's doing it now.
Shit.
Probably tighter boxing too, like technically. So there's some interesting elements to that. But all right, so we have and new no matter what for that fight. But then I'm and new on the main event. Alex is taking and still UFC 297. Gonna be pretty interesting though. All right. But with that in mind, we will move on towards the end of the show. We're barreling. Had a little up problem there, but we're moving. Let's go to Spotlight Fuel real quick. Alex, who do we want to put our flashlight on this week on the men's side? Who you got for us?
I'm gonna go to Fury FC 85. And there's two. I mean, main event Michael Aswell. He's a very good featherweight, young featherweight, 23 years old. Lost his last fight. What most people believe he won. It was like a very controversial unanimous decision, but he's been very good. But I'm gonna go Alden Correa, flyweight. Uh, he was Josh Van mentioned him in his post fight interview that he was actually the one who helped him train and spar for the height of Felipe Bueno. So yeah, Alan Correa, man, he's good. He's making his Fury FC debut. He's was known in LFA, and yeah, he's a really good fighter to look out for. 25 years old. He's a finisher. I believe he's a 100%. No, he doesn't. 5 finishes, 1 decision. Keep an eye out for him.
All right, very nice. And let's give a shout out to Dana White. We'll be doing bringing back looking for a fight up in Canada this week, right? I forget
right.
what that show is, but
United, isn't
I
it?
think so. I think that's what it is
Or
going to be called.
or is it Unified MMA?
One of those, yeah. So gonna be some talents on there. Got to give shout out to Tom Theocaris, friend of the site, of course, friend of the show. Did a good feature on him. I believe that was in 2022. Now, my goodness, time is
Unified
flying.
MMA 55.
All right, so yes, look out for that one. I'm sure we'll. Who knows when that episode will actually drop, but it'll be a good
6 months
opportunity.
from now.
Yeah, right. Remember when we went to Canada at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
It'll be a good opportunity for all those prospects, of course. But all right, on my side of things for the ladies, I was looking at the UFC card and I was kind of like, these are our options, huh? We kind of know for the most part what we're getting there. But then I looked across the MMA board, and it's a no-brainer. It's super easy because it is Mori Suda Fight Week, you guys. One of the top 15 atom weights on the planet, and still, mind you, just 19 goddamn years old. She began her MMA career as a pro. What is it? Just 4 years ago. She was around like 16ish, like barely legal. You want to throw out that term for Mori Suda, but she's 10-5. Got back on a winning streak now, looking to make it 3 in a row when she competes at the Black Combat event. As Deep Jewels and Black Combat have been collaborating recently, which is fun to see. But Mori Suda is one of the best prospects. Really on the planet, if you consider her age and the experience she's racking up, just kind of fighting for the most part as much as possible. She told me she wants to get 50 fights in her career when I talked to her last year, which she's off to a very hot start. 15 already, just 15 pro fights at 19, Alex. Honestly, 10-5, not the greatest record, but again, you consider where she is right now, and because of the fact she has been kind of rising so rapidly, she's gotten these fights with people who are supposed to beat her, right? Like she fought Sarioshima for the title in her 8th fight. Lost that one, of course, because Sarioshima is top 3, top 4 in the world, phenomenal in her own right. But it's like, what are we supposed to do? She's kind of just winning her way up to this point, and then just having these pitfalls against some of the people that she's supposed to. But lost to Aya Murakami in her first fight, and then got the win back over her in 2022. Like, Killer Instinct is great. Grappling is kind of the bread and butter for sure. Clearly with Mori Suda, trained by her father, who was a fighter as well. She's just a good fun time. Always goes out there for the finish. Kind of has a similar, not to say Sekizawa in terms of give her an inch, she takes a mile, but openings, she's very, for her skill at her age right now, is very impressive. And the fact that she can kind of find some of the opportunities to finish that she has in her career. So continually improving in all areas. Always got to look out for Mori Suda, especially can't even legally drink yet over here. So she is a good fighter and going to be around for a long time if she has anything to say about it, clearly. So that is the pick this week. But all right, as Alex throwing out a mention in the private check, Wendy Anunsen, when I get a chance, is she fighting this week, Alex? Or are you just saying to look at her?
Yeah, Fury.
Okay, all right. I will definitely look into her, but she was still going to lose this one no matter what. So, all right, with that in mind, you guys, that'll wrap up the fight talk until we get back to the Q&A portion at the end of the show. Don't worry, I've been collecting your comments, your questions. I see you here. And Alvin has arrived. It says, hello, gentlemen. I wasn't able to watch the movies for the Dralex Movie Club. I'm just looking forward to some great discussions about fantastic movies. All right. Well, that's okay, Alvin. I'm sure that you have probably already seen my movie, so you don't have to catch up on that one. But let's get to it, Alex. The Dralex Movie Club, spoilers included, everybody. It was Edward Norton week, as well as Ethan Suplee week. Right? That was our crossovers this week. Both fantastic, of course. But I had American History X going back to 1998, while Alex had Motherless Brooklyn 2019. So we got both ends of the spectrum with newer and older Edward Norton, which is going to be really fun to compare, I think. So, Alex, let's start with Motherless Brooklyn. I saw this movie probably a year after it came out, but enjoyable. I mean, the range of Edward Norton on display. What did you think? Tell me about it. It was fun.
Yeah, so I wanted, funny enough, when I went to go search it, like I'd searched it and like I'd watched all the trailers, and I remember I wanted to see this movie in theaters. And funny, and then I went back and like looked at the reviews of people, and there's two camps. You either really like this movie, or you really do not like this movie at all. Like it's like really, it's very like, dude, it's crazy.
Okay.
And I fall in like, I think I like it more than I didn't like it. And let me just say, like, it's like 2.5 hours, but it felt 3 hours. Like I felt the runtime on it, and it just kind of kept going, kept
I
going.
did feel that as well.
Yeah, yeah, you felt the runtime, and that's like, don't get me wrong. I love a long movie, but you better
Mhm.
keep my fucking like attention
Attention.
going. You know. I also felt like it's kind of like a cheap rip off, cheap reimagining of Chinatown. Kind of same concept, except it's apartments instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
water. Um, but obviously the movie would not be it without Edward Norton, and he was great in it, man. He's kills in everything he does.
Yeah.
I must say that the Tourette's,
Too much for
it's
you?
just yeah, it's just like it was like a fucking comic character, bro. Like it was just like
I know.
it's just like and like he wrote, directed it, which is man, he did a good job in that aspect of it. But like I just yeah, yeah, I don't know. I didn't it just did not jive with me. Like it was funny for the first 7 times he did it, but like, you know,
You're like,
it's just
"Okay, I get
yeah,
it."
yeah. All right, I get it, bro. Like, and yeah, it fucking sucks. I will say Gugu and about the Raw, she's great in everything I've seen her and I feel like she doesn't get used enough in Hollywood. But she is a
Yeah.
great actress. And and they're just heavy hitters. Alec Baldwin was great. William
Mhm.
Dafoe was great. Bruce Willis was great for 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I love that he's on this
So
poster too.
yeah, I know. I mean that you wanna save your casting budget. You cast Bruce Willis for 15 minutes.
It's like I don't know if you saw this one, but it's like Bradley Cooper and Licorice Pizza. Like, I fucking advertised the hell out of that. He's barely
Yeah,
in it.
right. 1000%. Yeah. So like the atmosphere was great.
Mhm.
I liked the cast. I mean, I liked the story. It just didn't like it. It's just like was like, all right, get to it, bro.
Yeah,
Like, get
yeah.
to it. Like, and like the fucking twists and turns. Like, they were trying to be too twisty and turny. Like, they were trying to
Yeah.
keep the mystery up too long. And like, is she her like? They were like, be like, oh, whose daughter is she? Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It was getting too convoluted
Mhm.
for a 2.5 hour movie that felt 3 hours. Like that's the best I can describe it. So yeah, so I enjoyed it. I wish it was a little bit shorter. I feel
Mhm.
like you could definitely go in there and trim some of it out. Um, but yeah, so I'd say it's a good. I'd say it's like a good 7 out of 10 for like a neo noir
Right.
mystery movie. Go ahead and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those ones that we've, had a couple of these we've talked about. Enjoyable watches, maybe more for the performances.
Yeah, one thousand
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that I gave you this one though, specifically because of the reminder of Alec Baldwin. You know how we talked about him last
Yeah,
week and like,
one thousand
man,
percent.
just want to kind of
Oh
want to
yeah,
just get more of
I
him.
felt like he was doing his Trump impersonation from SNL. Like I felt like he was doing the little hand
That's
motion.
super
Like
true.
I felt like he was like, y- you know, he was so good on SNL. He was like, I think I want to use that again,
Yeah.
but in this
Put it in a
movie
movie.
and kind of do
Uh,
my best Trump impression. Also, like, yeah, it just
oh, I didn't even think about
and
that.
then
That's
and then
so
him being
true.
rapey, like it was just like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
so true.
So yeah, I noticed that. I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely doing his Trump
That's
impersonation.
hilarious. I didn't even put that together, but you're spot on. Yeah. Yeah. So that is Motherless Brooklyn though. But again, like I don't think Edward Norton can really be in too bad of a one. So always worth checking him out. And I mean, then I say that, and we go to probably his best, but up there with Fight Club, right? Like I saw Fight Club, um, I think 2022 as well. So I waited on that one, but I got around to it, and I absolutely love that movie. It is absolutely brilliant. It is, man. I trying to think about which one I like more or which one he did better in. And that's a tough question that I don't think I'm going to answer today. But anyway, American History X was what I was tasked with this week, and I got my fill of the N word for the rest of my life. Not that I'm surprised by that, but it's very in your face, but that's a part of the story.
Yeah.
So, Alvin says, "Oh, I have seen American History X. Mr. Norton was sensational in that movie. It really shows how hate and anger is passed down from one generation to another. It's an important lesson to teach love." My guy, absolutely nailing, definitely the moral of the movie. But my goodness, American History X. This was kind of fascinating for many reasons, obviously, but watching it, Alex, and I like to jot down my notes and everything. And as it kind of started, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not gonna have too many on this one. And I look and I'm like, oh, we ended up with a good bit here. But that's just like always how that happens. But beautifully dramatic opening. I was kind of like, obviously that scene leads to the scene in terms of the story, and everybody knows what the scene in the movie is. But when it was starting off, I was like, oh shit, there's no way this is actually the beginning. Like this is actually the scene's the beginning. I was like, no, okay, it's not, but it is, but it's not. Like, it's kind of like half and half with the storytelling, but very dramatic, very beautifully shot and opened. Um, as the movie goes on, I think I was very compelled by, obviously, the past storytellings were obviously very captivating and for many, many reasons. But one of the things that stood out to me was the first basketball scene and how, man, like everyone's just used to racism like it's normal, kind of. It's like, the black versus white aspect, and they're playing basketball, they're doing things together, but like not friendly wise, but divided, but normal is like very weird to kind of see that, like I I get that that's how it was and all and whatever, but that was very fascinating to kind of watch that depicted that way, and how just that whole scene was crafted was very nice. Um and it was very interesting too, Alex. I wasn't so sure how I felt about it at first. I didn't like it, but the dramatic cinematization, if that's even a word, if you could use, of kind of those past scenes, it felt kind of corny to me. It felt kind of like way too much with kind of the slow motion and kind of some of the shots, the way that it was filmed. But really, I think, and I interpreted that as just Tony K showing how much that stuff meant to them. And then obviously plus the black and white effect is pretty smart in this in this case. Very kind of blatant there. And I also want to point this out about Tony K, director, first movie and last movie pretty much, because he
Yeah.
pretty much destroyed his career after this. I was reading into by not talking shit about his own movie or whatever. So very fascinating. One and done, if you will, in the movie world.
It's
But
true.
yeah. So those scenes in the beginning, I was kind of like, this is really a little over the top for me. But and I kind of digested it. I was like, no, okay, this kind of makes sense. So I was nitpicking a little bit, but got all right with it and got it. Ethan Suplee, as we mentioned last weekend, this week as Seth, he's just in peak form, Alex. Like,
Yeah.
my God.
Such a fucking piece of shit, dude.
Just the worst human. Just from his look, everything, he was just the perfect guy for his character. Absolutely peak Ethan Suplee. Definitely deserves a shout. The initial interactions with Derek after he gets out of prison are just like excellent suspense. Like, well, obviously, I think it's very clear like what the deal is with him, but the way it's kind of presented and everyone being kind of like, oh, something's about, he's got his hair now, all this. Like, I loved that. That was greatly done, and how they didn't just jump to him being like, yeah, so fuck Nazis. Like, I'm glad that they didn't do that. Not that I expected it, but I was like, how soon are we going to have kind of that moment? Which wasn't too soon, actually. So that was nice. The timing of Derek's sentence seemed really odd at first, but I'm glad it was explained. So I was like, hold on, he fucking killed the guy. There's something
Yeah.
missing here. I guess self-defense, all that is what comes into play, all that. But when I was thinking about 3 years and then later explained, throughout the American History X portion of the project, which great title. Again, I love me a movie with a great correlating title, Alex. This was another good one. And yeah, just to speak about Edward Norton some more, he's just really one of my all-time favorites. I really just love the guy. And what is so good about, I think, this movie and his performance, and why I might say he was better here, if I'm going to go back to the Fight Club comparison and those two fantastic ones. He's pretty much playing two characters, Alex, like these two versions of Derek, right? And I mean, three, but the third one, the youngest version of him, you don't see very much. But when he's getting kind of influenced in the scene with his dad, and then when he's on the news, which was really kind of funny because I'm just like thinking about that airing, which they didn't say if it did air or not, but they had the footage, of course. But yeah, he's obviously playing super peak Nazi racist Derek, and then reformed, rehabilitated post prison Derek, which are completely two different, like, same character, but you change, and it's just such a huge change that it's like it feels like two different guys. And obviously the appearance, but he fucking killed it with that, of course, and adjusting, maintaining the same character while evolving throughout a movie. So I mean, absolutely fucking brilliant. Should have won probably the Oscar that year. Glad he was nominated at least. So yeah.
Lost to Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful.
I don't know anything about that. But all right. And then, of course, got to shout out Edward Furlong, too. I think, of course, one of the greatest child actors of his time, for sure. And I know he's not exactly a kid during this one, but young, probably under 20, right? He was John Connor as well. And we know he's kind of not doing so well these days anymore. But Edward Furlong was really great in his time in the 90s. So deserved a shout. He was always great every time he was on screen. And of course, he's kind of really the center of the movie. 100%. I don't even think that's a question. Of course, it's him and Derek, but he's kind of, yeah, the center of American History X, literally. So, and it's funny, Alex, I'm glad that you kind of gave me this one after we did talk radio, because you talked about how some of those things and the political issues are still prevalent today. Boy, oh boy, same thing can be said here. There was a lot that I was like, holy fuck, I swear I've heard this shit on Twitter like a month ago. It's like, wow. History repeats itself or just doesn't, it takes
it doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't change at all. But that was kind of like a mind-blowing thing of just like, this is like almost 30 years ago that this was made, and this shit's still really out there. So that was kind of one of those blasts of reality, crazy time loop issues, if you will. My goodness, this was probably maybe the chef's kiss moment of the movie for me, just in terms of how much of the impact it had. But the dinner scene was maybe one of the biggest, best in terms of done pieces of family dysfunction I've ever seen, Alex, where it gets hard to watch as it progresses, because it's kind of like a boil, right? It's boiling up to, that shit's about to go down. It's going to be very volatile. It's already volatile to start, but my God, it crescendos just, it makes me kind of cringe just thinking about it. That scene was chef's kiss. It feels bad to do that, but it's good. It's good in the worst way. So absolutely bravo to them for pulling that one off. Indeed. And of course, in terms of the scene, I mean, Edward is an absolute menace with his performance in that scene. Exactly. The eyebrow raise as he's getting arrested. I'm like, this guy's fucking crazy. It's just like, yeah, he was just sensational. That moment there, insane. Stacy Keach really sunk into his role as well. Big old bastard. Great job. Fit that a little bit too well. One of those scary situations where you really get in there. Of course, Derek's interactions with his laundry worker friend in prison. I never caught his name exactly, but they were great. Of course, big moments in the movie, which of course, flipped Derek in the end. all the ties to Sweeney were very kind of crazy and fun storytelling there, how he's kind of involved with the entire family throughout, their lives. And boy, the ending was just sad as fuck, Alex. It's one of the saddest movie endings in probably movie history. My goodness. And I really thought, I had this feeling of, they did a phenomenal job of making it, that whole end of the movie where Derek and Derek and Daniel are together, made it feel like Derek was being watched the whole time. And I was like, fucking something's gonna happen. He's gonna get like drive by it or some shit. Like they set that up to where I thought that, yeah, Derek was gonna get killed, never gonna see each other again. Then they hit you with the flip, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, so brutal.
Man. But like that, again, just poetry. Another phenomenal ending. Another, I mean, hit the trifecta. This is a 10 out of 10. I was trying to find reasons not to give it a 10, but it's like, because I have some of those very nitpicks of like music utilization, or like I was saying with the past scenes, but sank in on him. I was like, you can't. And I saw some critiques from, like, I was looking at stuff after. I think Roger Ebert said his issue was like, and I don't really put too much into what he says, but his thing was, he would have liked to see more about how Derek really developed into that, which I get. You could have given some more development there, but I think we got enough. And again, I don't think the story was fully about him. So
Right.
it's great. It's just so good. Like,
Back to back to back tens.
triple,
Woo-hoo!
triple. I really was trying to think of a reason. Like, we can't do 3, but I can't deny it. It was just, especially when I look back on it like this, it's probably Edward Norton's best. Would you say it is between that and Fight Club? Am I right with those two?
I'd say, uh, man, performance. If you go performance to
Hmm.
performance, it's got to be American History X. Just the way he changes,
Yeah.
um, and just the gravitas of the role.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, he was so good. So good. Like,
yeah.
I get chills. I just get chills thinking about it. Yeah.
Just the way, like, and also like the way, he's so menacing, so like just a racist
Yes.
fucking bastard, and then to flip, right? To flip, and then you're like, oh man, it's like you like really like you're cheering for the guy.
Yeah, totally.
It's hard to do that with a racist piece of shit.
Yes. Oh, yes. And the family dynamic too really brings you into caring about kind of everybody being okay,
Yeah,
and especially when there is just that seething, deep hatred that comes from the core of it. And then for it to be like, all right, it's all bullshit. Then, that's a line. It's all bullshit. Oh, God, it was so good. And I love him kind of, there's the humanity side of to you. I love, this was important for seeing the change, but like when he's trying to reason with Stacy, or like still wants to, come on, you can get out of this. It's all fucking, and she's like, completely blind and in denial still at all that. But that really showed just like, goddamn, like that was a big moment, I think, too, to highlight, which I didn't write down, but killed it, absolutely killed it. Very great. And Alvin says my favorite scene was the end where they tear down the posters in Derek and Danny's room. That was good too. That was a fun little moment towards the end for sure. um Maybe not fun, but you know what I mean. So, woo, good one. I'm getting spoiled these last 3 weeks for sure. So good stuff there. I gotta try and get the first 10 for Alex here. That's gonna be the big one. So I think we will wait again. I haven't checked any updates on Poor Things yet. We probably still got to wait a little bit till we can get on our double there, unless there's any other ideas you have for double feature watch. But again, my list is still wicked fat for you
yeah.
here.
No, there's nothing really right now.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So let's see. Let's see. What do we want to give you here? I'll go first. Man, let's see. We did Mother's Brooklyn last week. So let's go with hmm. I have a feeling you might have seen this one, but I'm going to throw it at you right now. I love this movie. I love James McAvoy, Alex. he's one of my favorites as well. Have you seen Filth?
Filth.
2013. You would know. So I'm assuming you
Filth.
haven't seen this one.
No, I have not seen that.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm not happy, but I'm
Yeah.
excited for you to see it. Filth with
No.
James McAvoy. One of his absolute hidden gems. So I
Okay.
look forward to hearing about that one.
Yeah, so there's a couple things I want to do. Well, so I have like two ways I'm gonna. Have you seen Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, multiple times, but like when I was a kid, so it's like my retention is it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I've seen it multiple times. Yes. I had it
Okay.
on DVD and everything.
Okay, cool. All right, all right. Okay, good. All right. Well then bring up Quentin Tarantino's filmography.
Okay. All right. You're not gonna get me with any of these, just so you know. But I'm
Have
curious
you
where you're going.
or have you seen all of them?
Okay. Let's Pulp, Inglorious, Once Upon a Time, Django, both Kill Bills, Reservoir Dogs, Hateful Eight, Jackie Brown, yes, yes. From Dusk Till Dawn, kind of counts, I guess. So I think Death Proof's the only one I haven't seen in full. which, which you're like, God damn it.
All right, we'll skip that. I'm just fucking happy you've seen Quentin Tarantino's movies. I was
Oh,
gonna
yes.
I was gonna rip into you.
No. He's one of my favorites. Yeah, I told you that Sion Sono is my Japanese Quentin Tarantino. You have to
That's
see the
true.
original first.
True. All right. End of watch.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
All right.
Yep, good
Moonlight.
stuff. Was it Moonlight?
Moonlight. 20,
No. I remember obviously hearing about this a
2016.
bunch when it was
Yep.
nominated, but no, I have not seen it.
All right.
All right,
That's it.
Cool. Did it win Oscar that year?
It was the one where La La Land won.
Ah, right.
But then it was the they got the envelope wrong and it was actually
Oh,
Moonlight.
that's right.
Yeah.
What a disaster that was.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Did you ever see
Yeah.
La La Land?
Yeah,
It was
I
good?
really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I remember that was a move that was a year where I missed a lot of those, but it sounded like they were all good. So, all right, looking forward to this one. But whew, all right. Well, that will wrap it up for the Drelex Movie Club. Of course, a little bit over our time today because of my mishap, stupid computer. But we'll wrap it up real quick. We'll get to the questions and breeze through them a little bit as best as we can. But James Kendrick here says he read my article on the UFC 300 announcement, Zhang versus Yan. I saw a lot of negative comments on that article. Yes, there were plenty. Why are people so mad? It's a good tune-up fight. Hey, I don't like that last part, but I think mostly because Dana fucking did his hype up for it, which is not fair to the fight at all. But I think the way that it was announced was kind of the big problem. Because it's the fight that makes sense. It's the fight they make. The problem, of course, is it's not in China. But people are like 300. He made us wait an extra 2 hours. So
Yeah, it's just like the unprecedented expectations people have for UFC 300, and then people are acting like they don't like watching Weili Zhang fight. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit lying about that for sure. Synchro says, why isn't Linton Vassell the Milton Keynes concrete cows? Look that up, please. Maybe it will. Fighting Ryan Bader. I really want Vassell to get his title, even though his only skill is ground and pound. Well, simple answer, Synchro, is they were doing champs versus champs. So Linton was always going to have to wait. I mean, hopefully he could maybe fight in the meantime just to stay busy or something, but he should be right there for the winner would make sense. I would think, depending, obviously a lot of things. I mean, with fucking Nemkov Kapaloza, that's probably course winner that should actually get the title shot. So sorry, never mind. We'll see what happens, but I love that we can speculate like that. James Kendrick says Josh Van was awesome, who is a friend of Protect Your Neck and MMA Ecosystem. Chris actually introduced the boys to Josh Van versus Zuma Gulov. do you think he's one to watch? He's so good. Yeah, I think Alex is also. Are you tight with him? I know you've been high on him.
Yeah. I've watched him since he was an amateur. Talked to him through his whole Fury run. Yeah, he's so young, so good already. Like, man, the ceiling's very high for this kid.
For sure. And good start in the UFC. And Rio says, to add to James's point, I saw a lot of negativity with UFC 300, Whaley versus Xiaonan. In general, what happened? Wasn't Whaley well beloved, or are we reverting back to 2020, 2020, where people just hate on her? I don't necessarily think it's that, because obviously that was a lot of racial bullshit to make that the theme of the end of the show here. But I think most of it has to do with, again, the 300 thing is the biggest thing for me. Like, again, if they would have done the right thing, found a way to properly not fuck up whatever happened with UFC Shanghai, had it on there, there'd be no complaints whatsoever. I think there may be a little bit of the inactivity thing. I don't know, even though O'Malley should get the same thing because they fought in the same and then returning around the same time. But I don't know. I think really the best answer to that, Rio, is just around the 300 stuff. Or people thought her Lemos fight was boring. I don't know. Krumbopolis says, has any other country... Oh, we already answered this one. Ever done the thing about a card not being good enough? Abu Dhabi.
I mean, maybe that's what happened with China. They're like, Song Yudong, the main event? Fuck that.
Poor Song. That would be brutal. And then, all right, this is a great one to close out. Thank you for this one, Ghost. As he says, would you love to see Matt Brown versus Jim Miller for UFC 300? We didn't even talk about Jim Miller at the start of the show. That's how much there was from Vegas 84, actually. But ooh, that might be the fight, Alex. No,
it's tough, man. It's tough because, like, you know, most finishes at lightweight and then most knockouts at welterweight. Like, it's a collision course, right? Like, but there's also a part of me that, like, I think Paul Felder versus Jim Miller makes sense. Like, it's actually a very interesting fight. Gives Paul Felder one more fight to fight in front of a sold out crowd. Gives Jim Miller, another name for his resume that he never fought. I'm
very surprised they never fought, actually.
Yeah, they were scheduled to fight 2015.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really have a preference, to be honest with you. Yeah. Either fight is fine with me. I think Felder's the bigger fight, just because of
because he's been doing commentary. Yeah, being more out there.
Exactly, more out there a little bit. But I think, and that fight's going to be just as violent as the Matt Brown fight.
Yeah.
Only thing about the Matt Brown is Jim Miller's going up to welterweight, right? So he would have just a little bit of a disadvantage there. But whatever. I'm to answer Ghost's question, would I love to see Matt Brown versus Jim Miller again? Fuck yes, sign me up.
So yes, Matt Brown and Paul Felder are definitely win-win, the clear right choices. So that means we'll get Jim Miller versus somebody random.
Jakar Close.
Yeah, Close. Someone who will murder him. Tony Ferguson. Yeah. Patty versus Jim Miller.
That would have been the fight if Patty didn't already say he's not fighting at the UFC 300. So.
Oh, he already did that? Wants to stay fat, I guess.
The birth of his twins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, kids are coming up. Understandable. All right. Well, on that note, as a great close, I'm very curious to see, how quickly they do try and put something together for Jimbo. But that'll do it for us, you guys. Another episode of Sound and Pound in the books, episode 14, rolling along through 2024 as we get ready for UFC 297. Let us know your picks. Do you think you're going to be the champ by Sunday? Drop them in the comments. We'd love to see what you guys think. So on that note, it's been Drake Riggs and Alex Behunin here. You can follow us at DrakeRiggs_, at Alex Behunin. Follow MMAmania.com for all your MMA needs. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the places. Alex, do we got any plug-a-dugs this week?
Just my UFC 297 tidbits will be coming out Friday.
All right, awesome. Looking forward to it. And then as for me, just released a chat with the number one flyweight in Combate Global, Maritza Sanchez. Spoke to her recently. Released that one yesterday on the website. She's looking to fight for the vacant title this week. A fantastic prospect, 6-1 in the flyweight division, of course. And if I was to make a comparison for you guys who don't know about her and you want to go check her out after, of course, do so on the website. Check out the interview. But she is kind of like the flyweight version of Yasmin Yaragüe, probably with a better chin, though, so far, if we were to make that comparison. But look out for her. I think she's bound for a big 2024. Honestly, could get signed to the UFC right now. But if she doesn't, I promise you, if she wins one more fight in the meantime, she will be on the Contender Series. She is absolutely made for a fighter that they would bring on there if they don't just sign her directly. So look out for Maritza Sanchez. And then, of course, Broad Horizon episode 35 will be coming at you very soon here in the coming weeks as well. Got 3 guests already down. Maybe one more to add to the lineup, but it's coming together, guys. So stay tuned for that, and just stay tuned for all that we got coming on. We'll be here again next Tuesday, same time. Until then, stay safe and stay sane, everyone. Enjoy the action in Canada. Oh, Canada. We'll see ya.